I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
And welcome to WorldView Finder, episode 24.
24.
Today, we're talking about doing good for all the wrong reasons. I did all the right things for all the wrong reasons.
And monkeys.
Monkeys, The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock.
And maybe Hamster and Gretel. That'll be like a...
Just do that. We might hit that.
ongoing thing. Like, well, maybe if we...
And we never
time,
talk about it.
We never talk about it.
But that's okay.
All right, Jimmy, you did some good on the internet this week and watched a show.
So close. So if any of you are in the YouTube world, you might have seen that in the last 2 weeks, the Sidemen charity match has happened. Now, what the Sidemen charity match is...
Sidemen?
Sidemen. So the Sidemen are a group of friends from the UK that started on YouTube like 10 or 12 years ago. And basically, they have all come up together as content creators. And now they create a lot of content together. So they're called the Sidemen.
Okay.
So that is a group. And the Sidemen charity match is... They have, because they a lot of them started in the soccer space, or football for all you international viewers. So they started in the soccer space, and one of the things that they're doing annually now is the Sidemen charity match. And basically what this is they get a group, or a large group of influencers, and then they play a game of soccer together, or multiple games, and then they live stream it and then raise money. I think that because you can buy tickets to actually be there live, or you can just donate online.
Okay.
So it's this big charity event. So because I think that they live streamed it and 2.3 million people watched it live, which is pretty crazy. But I mean, they have the biggest influencers on YouTube, and I think that they said they also had signed a contract with ESPN because they had so many people watch it.
So for the next year, it'll be...
No. So I think actually this year, I don't know the specifics of it, but I think this year ESPN has some rights to it, and they paid a couple $1 million for it. So they are doing this
Spectrum,
thing.
You won't be able to watch it.
Exactly. So all you Spectrum people. But I thought that was interesting. One, just because that is a pretty popular thing in the YouTube world now, is doing something big for charity. But then I think it also, in smaller scales, people make these videos where they do good things and then they make a video out of it. So I want to kind of unpack the worldview behind that and then get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So, because in Scripture, Jesus tells us, like, hey, when you give, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing.
Right.
And so that's why when I tie one hand behind my back. Like,
Yeah. You don't know.
Don't look. I saw it. Like, you draw eyes on
Oh,
him.
my goodness.
No, but yeah. So our giving should be done in secret because it says if you give, because you receive your reward on earth.
Okay.
If you give with people knowing. So if I'm like, oh, Adrian, I gave all this money to homeless Joe on the street. Like, my reward is
Me being like, good job.
like, yes, I did it. So
Yeah.
But, okay, so I think I see this argument all the time.
Sure.
So, like, on YouTube videos or whatever, is like, why would you film this? You know, that's like disgraceful for the person you're giving to in a way. Did you ask their permission? You know, those sorts of things. But they all, like, people always the comeback is, if I didn't do this and people didn't donate, I wouldn't be able to bless them as much.
It's
Or
true.
I'm able to do more because my viewers are up and they donate to my cause.
So, I think it's different if you're like, hey, everybody, we're giving to this charity. And, like, we're all doing this together.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, there's that one guy that walks around and is like, oh, hey, I hate his voice. I don't know who that guy is, but he's like...
If you're watching right now, we're sorry.
Yeah, he's like, hey, let's play hopscotch with me. It's like, stop and play hopscotch or something. And like, this homeless man does. And he's like, hey, man, here's $50. And he goes, oh, thank you so much. And then he's like, what else do you need? He's like, oh, I need a phone. And then he ends up like buying this guy. Like it became a series. It was like multiple, like I think months.
Wow.
Where he like
well, and that's the thing is like I don't know if it's just him. I think there's multiple accounts that do that where they're like, here's this story of this person. I'm not capable of giving them everything we need, but I've asked the internet to help, and we have come back and given you this.
I think that's different. I don't know if this guy asked the internet, but he got this guy a phone, and then the guy, like, he would call him, and then the guy, like, lost his phone twice. Like,
he needs 2 more phones.
Yeah, and then they, like, did something, like, to get his teeth fixed, and then, like, got him a job and all that stuff. And you're like, okay, that's really cool. But but it's like, to what end? Is it just to exploit this guy? And that's what people. I think we talked about Mr. Beast on here one time where he gave away a car or whatever.
Yeah, he is definitely the because he kind of started this thing where his first big brand deal, he convinced the brand to sponsor him for $10,000, and he gave a homeless guy $10,000, and that was the video. And now he's done bigger and crazier things, but a lot of these other influencers are taking that same kind of idea because they see it works.
Right.
So you're saying this is a good thing or bad thing? Or what?
That's what I want to figure out, because what the Bible said is that you should, if you're going to be giving, you should do it in secret. But it sounds like you're like, oh, these are good things.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Well, because I'm giving so that I can give more. Like, if I'm giving online or whatever, where people can see me, then I'm getting more stuff. And that's what, I mean, Mr. Beast turns his next video into, like, each video is to fund the next video.
Yeah.
And so he does give a lot of stuff away. He does all do that because then people want to watch the video. Like, oh, maybe Mr. Beast will come and here he is. Like, I'm going to give you $10,000 to pull this fire alarm. Or whatever it may be.
Sure.
And so with that, do we... is it a good thing for them to give? Like, yes, it is. And then then they get their reward. Like that, the reward is I get more views and I get more likes and more subscribers or whatever.
But you also get to help more people.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, they're getting their reward, and so
because you could do that offline. Like, I know that maybe not in the quantity that you want to, but you could just go and meet a homeless person and walk through life with them, to get them to where you need, and not video it. But
what's the fun of that?
Well, there is that idea of like, okay, I'm gonna use my mass viewership to get this man a job. It's just gonna be harder. Or like, use this mass donation to get this person a car that they need. There are other ways of going about doing that, and maybe that's just the avenues you should take.
So, I mean, I don't know, because the idea is more viewers, more stuff,
correct?
More.
Well, and now I think Mr. Beast is kind of an anomaly because most of the money he puts directly back into the videos to continue to do bigger and bigger things. And one, I think that can be partially selfish just because he wants to make the best videos possible. But there have been other people where they do similar things, but you see those people who take the money that they make from this kind of content and then fund their own lifestyles where they're driving around in Lamborghinis and have mansions.
Right.
So and that's where like the celebrity culture of kind of like, I have so much more than you, kind of like, I mean, it's like you watch these YouTubers like, oh, it's an advertisement where this guy's like, pulls up in a Lamborghini. He's like, I got this from doing this on the internet for 5 minutes a day, and look where I'm at now, and all this stuff. And you're like, oh, I want to live that guy's lifestyle. So I think if it's pushing a lifestyle that goes against like a life of not poverty, but a life of like living within our means and humility and stuff like that. But if they're like, hey, we're going to raise money for charity, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think like an organization is different because you're not
an individual. Yeah,
because it's not a relationship necessarily.
Yeah, and the content creators, they all got there. I don't know what content they make. The sidemen.
The sidemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they don't make anything like that where it's like they're specifically helping people. It's more just entertainment content.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's been charity drives forever of like phone calls, all that.
And I think a lot of times too it comes back to motivation. Like, is your motivation to genuinely help people, or is it because I'm trying to get more views and more likes? And
what if it's both?
Then again, like, that's probably your earthly reward.
Sure.
Like when you get up and you face judgment, God's like, well, you got 20 subscribers from that video. Sorry, you don't get that extra bathroom on your house with the wet room or whatever it is.
One bathroom house.
But I think, because I think like 2 weeks ago there was somebody that did the one chip challenge. So because it gets into like, what would you do to get more views and more likes and things like that?
Anything.
And so are you just doing that next thing? And so it was a 14-year-old boy. Do you know what the one chip challenge is?
No.
So there's this super spicy chip by Paqui, I think. P-A-Q.
Taki.
No, it's Paqui. But
Paqui.
but it's like
Takis.
No, Paqui.
It's P-A-Q-U-I. It's called the one chip challenge. You buy, it comes in a coffin. This little chip.
That's the first sign.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
my goodness.
they're probably gonna have to change that now. But he ate the chip, and the challenge is how long can you go without taking a drink or eating something to help the pain or whatever.
Yeah.
So he did this at school.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
I guess he filmed it. I don't know. But then he like passed out like later on in the day, and so he went to the nurse's office, and he like just kept passing out. So they called the parents. Parents got him, like took him home and all this stuff. I guess they knew that he ate the chip or whatever, but he had passed out again, and so they took him to the hospital, and he was dead on the scene. And they're like,
He died?
yeah,
He died.
He died from eating this chip. And so
Oh, my gosh.
I did see an update on that. I saw an article this morning that says Paqui is taking the one chip out of stores because of that.
Well,
Really?
they
Yeah.
should. Somebody died from it.
he was also, well, it says 18 and older
That's true.
on the thing, but he was 14. But yeah, but
These things. Ugh.
well, yeah, and that's so that's where like I think the viral video thing of like I'm gonna do this crazy thing, like the Tide Pod challenge,
Tide
and,
Pod.
like, and all these other things
true.
of like the cinnamon thing. People died from the cinnamon thing. Like,
The cinnamon challenge.
Yeah.
Try to swallow cinnamon.
Yeah, and there's all these things that people, I want to do that. And so if these other videos are like, hey, I'm going to give money to a homeless person and film it, I think that's a better
That's a better alternative.
yeah.
Yeah.
So go do that, kids.
Okay, so you're saying that this isn't necessarily bad to do to give in public, but the reward you get is just an earthly reward.
Yeah, and if you don't follow Jesus, then yeah, you're going to want to give stuff away and make it look like you're a good person. I mean,
That's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole idea, like building your own character.
You
and
only
your
get
own
subscribers and money from doing it this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends on your heart. Like, is it a sin necessarily to do that if your motivation is truly helping someone? But again, your motivation is also fame.
Yeah, well,
So it's just like a split motivation.
that's a different thing too. It's like even what if someone does the right things with the wrong motivation? That's like kind of the underlying thing. Is that a net bad thing for society? If this person is doing all these good things but has a bad motivation.
Well, that's what the Zootopia quote that I said earlier. Like,
What was the Zootopia quote?
I did all the wrong things
Yeah,
for
yeah.
all the right reasons. Like,
Yeah.
But the opposite. So we did all the right things but for all the wrong reasons.
no, he did wrong things.
No, I'm saying this what if people are doing all these good things but for the wrong reasons?
Oh, okay,
Is that
yeah.
bad for society?
Depends on how much power that person has, probably.
Is that person the president? No.
Or do you know their motivations, like their secret motive? I don't know. Well, like you said in the last episode before this, like sin separates.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some consequence of that sin no matter what.
Well, I think it's an internal thing for them of
Sure.
like it's driving them further away from God because they're saying
Yeah.
like, I'm a good person. I've done good things, and that's where you have the rich young ruler that comes up and says, "Hey, what good things must I do?" And Jesus like,
Give it all away.
like, why do you call him? Like, why do you want to know about what's good? There's only one that's good. And you're like, the implications like it's not you. You're not
Yeah.
the good person
Yeah.
here. And so the more good that we do, we think it's like because we're good people. And like Jesus is very clear, we're not good
Yeah.
people. We're only good through Christ.
So, well, and then the same idea just came up, like there's some celebrities getting some backlash
Yeah. So
for this very reason.
Oprah and The Rock,
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
The Rock Johnson, DJ to his friends, but they like made a video like, hey, you should give to Maui, and I don't know if it was through an organization. You might know
sure.
we didn't research any of this.
Yeah, whoops.
No, but it was one of those, because I just remember hearing about it. Like, hey, they're like, hey, give to Maui, help heal the country and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And people are like, The Rock, aren't you from there? Like, aren't you like you and Oprah could take care of this alone on the money that you have. Like, you don't need our money. And then within the week, The Rock came out with a new clothing line. Like, hey, buy my clothes. Like, well, do you want me to do that or to give to your charity? And so, but I've seen people like, well, we don't have money and there's a recession and all this stuff. And you're like, that's true. There's a recession, there is inflation, things like that. But at the same time, we're still called to help people, like as much as we can to help others. And so,
no, I have seen this to push back a little bit. I don't know, have any context for this, but I have seen a lot of people. It's a common thing for people to be like, look at these super rich people.
Yes.
They are not giving to these things. They could end world hunger or whatever it is.
Yeah.
While sitting in their basement and they've given no money to anyone. It's like Jeff Bezos only gave $30 million this year to charity. And that's what he makes in 2 days. It's like, well, you've given $0, so compared to 30 million, you're not doing very well yourself.
Yeah, it's like the percentage of giving. It's like, okay, so here we go.
Research.
The celebrities, so they announced a joint donation of $10 million. So they're giving $5 million each to a wildlife relief fund.
What?
Chris is outraged. That's how much he made from showing up.
Not wildlife.
Oh, okay.
I know. I was a little confused.
I thought they were like, oh, all these monkeys burned up. Send them to Florida.
Monkeys. So. Anyway,
okay, so they're each giving $5 million.
So people are like, why didn't you give more?
You only gave $5 million. How much did you give? No dollars.
No dollars.
So they said it's about 0.5% of their net worth.
0.5? That's a lot. Or
Yeah.
0.05.
No, 0.5.
Yeah, 0.5, 0.05. Or you're not
0.05.
Yeah, so 0.5%.
Yeah, their net worth. I mean, that seems like a lot to me.
Yeah, so my net worth is like $13. So what would that be?
Half.
0.5% of $13.
Like a nickel.
A nickel. Yeah, I could give a nickel.
It would be. That's a lot more than their percentage. So I don't know. I think it's unfair to be like, oh, they made lots of money, and so they're responsible for taking care of everything. Like, I don't agree with that either. But on some hand, like, I think when people are so rich and they're asking other people for money, then you're like, come on, Oprah.
But they're not asking people
right,
to give them
I
money.
know.
Well, but now because Oprah and The Rock, they're pretty popular. So if they have 300 million people that they could influence, and
That's
each
true.
person gave $1, then 300 million is a lot more than 5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what all these people doing good on the internet, like these YouTubers, and why they get the power of the internet. It's like we can all do so much more together than any one of us could solo.
Right. And there is some mentality of like, yeah, I could give all of my money to this, or there could be like a collective, like, hey, America, let's band together and give towards this. And so then Maui is like, oh, they're not just like, oh, thank you, Oprah, but thank you,
world.
United States,
you,
or
world.
something that's like a community, like feeling supported.
And actually, I'm fine with The Rock and Oprah asking people to give to the thing. Yeah, because it is using their influence to make something happen that's going to be good. Because Maui, is going through a lot right now with all the wildfires.
The wildlife.
The wildlife died in the wildfire. Yeah, and so helping and their fellow Americans, and so like helping like our people. So I think it's important to do that. And yeah, and so it's just weird that there's like backlash. Like, well, they have lots of money, they should do it. Like, okay, they are. Like, they're giving $5 million a piece. Like,
And they're using their influence to get other people to give as well.
Yeah. So, hey, get out there and give to Maui. I don't know. I think it's a good thing, and that people should. I think this all comes back to the worldview of generosity. Like, are we generous people? And if you're a follower of Jesus, we're called to be generous, and it's not easy for me. I'm like,
and no matter how much you have.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can have a $13 net worth, and your argument could be, well, I don't have millions of dollars, so I can't be generous. It's like you can be generous with what you do have.
Yeah. And, I mean, we just had a story at our church. There's a group of men from the Evansville Rescue Mission that attend our church, and they found out that somebody was in need for a bike. And so one of this homeless man who lives at the rescue mission gave his bike to a lady who needed it. And it's like, you literally have nothing. Like, this bike is all that you have and your few possessions. And you were like, I've managed before. I can manage without it since this other person needs it. Those stories are huge, because that's like more, than that's just an insane amount of giving.
Yeah. And
compared to what he has.
And then I've seen some of those YouTube videos too, and I don't know if they're true, because I'm like, is this real? But like
right.
They give like a homeless guy like, hey, here's I don't know if it's a Target gift card, or like give him all this money, and then he like oh, thank you, left, came back and had like a Target bag where he had bought like clothes and stuff for him, and then this other guy comes out pretending to be homeless and like, hey man, I need some money for this, and he's like, oh okay, hold on, and he goes and like takes the stuff back and then gives that guy the money.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Does that really happen? Or when somebody has like 2 cheeseburgers and they like, the homeless guy will give one away because they know what it's like to be in need and stuff like that. And so I don't know if that's true or not, because a lot of times
we'd like to think it is.
The internet.
So wholesome.
Nothing's true on the
but
internet.
like this bike story that happened because it was in our church,
But it wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
They got no subscribers from it.
But how did you find out about it?
Well, our church told that story because we're telling stories of people who
live
and love like Jesus.
It
was not a video. The guy remained anonymous.
That's
he didn't want to.
It's just B-roll of bike.
Yeah.
Like that one, like ladies flip-flops or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. And that's the stories like you're like, okay, these people are genuine, like giving to just give. And like,
yeah.
And so they did this out of their need. Like, he obviously has need and stuff. And so, that's where I think it's unfair to The Rock and Oprah to be like, well, you should fix it all. Like,
right.
Okay, they are doing good in the world, and so, but it's for their own glory. So,
they've already received their reward.
So we had, my friend and I had another friend or acquaintance that would always tell us like the good things that he had done. And so we came up with like a little secret jingle that we would sing. Gosh. That was basically like, we're stealing his crowns.
Oh my goodness.
So we're like, we were just, it was Senior K, and like they letters meant something, but we're like, Senior K. Like every time he would just be like, hey guys, today I went and did this. We're like, oh, that's great. And then one of us would sing the song.
Oh gosh.
He never caught on, but like we were like, I'm stealing your crowns.
Oh my gosh.
Because he was like, good job. That's good that you did that.
That's good that you did that.
I stole your crowns from heaven. I'm an awful person, by the way. So, hey, it's time for Florida Foibles.
Yeah, speaking of that wildlife fun.
The wildlife fun. So in Florida, there's some monkeys that got loose.
Yeah.
At least
some of our weird Florida foibles have to have revolved around animals.
Yeah, so we haven't done an animal story in Florida for a while. So at least one monkey appears to be on the loose in Orange City, and authorities are urging residents to report sightings to Florida wildlife officials. So there's been multiple sightings of at least one monkey.
At least one. They don't up to 10 maybe.
That monkey gets around like town maybe. They don't know like what's happening.
There's a monkey on the loose.
But it was last spotted near Popeyes. So
just wants his Popeyes.
I know. You are not keeping me, was the line.
Don't tell me I don't need no Popeyes.
So if you were a monkey, which fast food restaurant would you go?
No.
No. But
the question is where does monkey come from?
And we
did a little research.
It confirmed that the animal is a rhesus macaques monkey. MACAQUAS. Macaque.
Okay, all right. So we did a little research. Finally, one thing
we did.
The first recorded introduction of monkeys in Florida occurred along the Silver River in the 30s. A commercial riverboat captain, Colonel Toohey, released approximately, guess what, 6 rhesus macaques on an island.
Wait, you said 6?
Yeah. On an island in the Silver River in an effort to increase tourism. So these 6 monkeys have probably populated this island
and that's one of them
are
right
now going ashore to
and like Jurassic
the
Park,
rest of Florida.
They always life finds a way. They get over to Florida.
Life finds a way. So this dates back to the 30s.
Is that near Orange City?
I don't know.
Okay.
Did not go into that much research.
Gosh. Okay. Well,
I'm pulling up a map.
So this all contributed to the guy in the 30s.
I love reading stories about invasive species. Have you ever like read or seen any of that stuff?
I love invasive species.
No.
You can't even say it. What like
You can't say Reese's macaques.
Reese's macaques. But it's that.
It's fringe.
Don't take his chocolate. It's Reese's. But yeah, so I like when you hear these stories of like these there's all these monkeys here or whatever. But then there's like invasive species where they'll bring over a predator to like take care of something, and then it's like we got too many this
Reese's
bug,
monkeys.
too many of this, and so we bring something and introduce it in the environment. But then there's no predator for that thing.
And then you have to get
Right, and it
something
just
bigger.
gets worse and
And
worse.
then you have to get some. And then
That's how we all have those stinky ladybugs everywhere.
That's how King Kong and Godzilla happened.
No, that was happening because of a fissure in the earth where they're from
They're
Skull
just
Island.
there.
Yeah, because it's open to the center of the earth where there's giant creatures down there.
Oh. The more you know.
Fact straight, Jimmy.
Yeah, the portal to that, and the entrance to that is in Antarctica, by the way.
So what animal would you have to like? What level of animal would you have to see running around that you would call somebody, or you would call like the authorities or whatever?
I mean, I think
wildlife.
a monkey, I probably would.
Okay.
And if I was in Florida though, and I saw a monkey, I'd be like, par for the course here.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't think anything of it.
I'm like,
I would say a wild hamster.
You would.
Because
a hamster with a cape
Well,
flying around.
yeah, but you don't see
Oh,
hamsters
my
out in the wild.
goodness.
But you do see Hamster and Gretel on Disney Plus, brought to you by the creators of Phineas and Ferb, Dan Povenmire,
Oh, nice.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz. He does play the dad. You can tell his voice. You're like, that's Dr. Doofenshmirtz. So it is not related to whatever
Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb in any way whatsoever yet. But the premise of the show is this 16-year-old Kevin has his license. He has to drive his sister around, who's a little bit annoying to him. And they're driving around. She's got her pet hamster, and this alien spaceship comes up and is like, "We're gonna bestow on you superpowers. Use them for good." And they're like, "Oh, great! We're a superhero team." And so she starts flying around and stuff. He's like trying to jump and all this stuff, and like nothing happens. And he's like, "Where are my powers? He clearly said team, the two of you." And then the hamster flies up in a little cape. He's like, "What? Why did he get the powers?"
So the little sister and the hamster have superpowers.
Yes, and her name's Gretel. So hamster.
Oh, Hamster and Gretel.
And Gretel.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Is it good?
I enjoy it. My wife does not. My kids love it.
Why does she hate it?
Because Phineas and Ferb has a certain level of like repeatability of like this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
We know
structured.
that each episode, is going to have the
Oh,
sister
there
trying
you
to
are.
bust him, Perry doing his thing to stop Dr. Doofenshmirtz, the Inator of the week. Like there's all these things, and they
Yeah.
play on that formula over and over. So
Yeah.
this one is kind of there's a bad guy of the week, but it's not like there's not this overall like. I think they could do a few things better where they make her like the parents or somebody's trying to find out about her. Like there's not any real like trying to discover who her like secret identity is. Like there's not
okay.
anybody at least yet that's like, oh, I'm going to find out who that is. There's never like hiding it from the parents. Like the parents don't know, but it's like trying to figure that out and stuff like that. But it's very funny. I like there's like some good laugh out loud moments for me in this, and I'm like, oh, that's clever writing. And the hamster talks not very often, a little bit like but his voice is really deep, and he's like, it's really funny. He's like, well, I guess we're gonna do this today, aren't we? And
It's a little hamster.
like, what? You can talk. And so yeah, but he's just like a little hamster. Yeah, so it's just kind of like them getting into situations, but a lot of it revolves around the relationship between Kevin and Gretel,
The brother and sister?
Yeah, just how they like, and how he deals with. Okay, I don't have superpowers, and so what's my purpose, and what am I like? What do I have to offer in the face of this, and like I've got to help my sister because she's like 6, and so she's like real little, and he's like trying to like, no, you can't do that, and she's like, yes, I can. I'm a superhero. He's like, no, like this is unsafe, and so just them kind of, they don't fight a lot, but it's like him trying to be the responsible brother, but he's also like, my sister's a superhero and like pretty much unstoppable, right. And so I'd say the worldview, at least for some of that, is like, how do you deal with a sibling that's obviously like more skilled than you or like has better talents or whatever, and you're kind of the second fiddle to them. Now in the household, it's not that way, right. But like in life, he's like, she's obviously better than me. And so
it's an interesting concept because I just thinking about this. Are some people just side characters in life? Because Kevin, he's not the main character. He's definitely a side character, and you see in TVs and movies.
This is something that Wing Feather, we keep bringing that up. It really, really deals with that. So I would say if you're looking for something that does wrestle with that, like the book is told from the perspective of the side character, and he, and it's his journey, but he's the main character in his own way. So
you were gonna say like there's a lot of TV shows and movies.
Yeah, where obviously there is a specific main character that we're following them and kind of rooting for, and there's a lot more side characters that we don't care about as much. So in real life, is there a chance that maybe you're just a side character?
You're the main character to your own story.
Yeah, you're the main character to your own story. I might be a side character to your story, but my
okay.
story.
Well, but in the bigger picture, I was thinking about this too. The whole life and universe, I don't think we're the main characters.
Oh, right. No.
Because I think
the Lord is the main.
Well, but that's the thing. I think if you see yourself as the main character, then you think that this whole life is about you and your journey, and that's the only thing that's important.
I don't think that's the thing is that everyone's the main character of their own story, but I don't think you should view yourself as the main character. You should always view yourself like, I'm just thinking of like the I am second movement, where it's like your mentality is we're not called to be main characters. We're called to be supporting all the time.
The supporting cast.
Yeah. And so in our own story, we're the main character, but in the grand story, God's great story, we're a side character. I mean, we are.
Yeah.
And so I think with that, like, so he kind of wrestles with that some in the thing of like, I'm not this, but then he's like, I am smart and I can help with these things. I can do these things. And so,
you have your own role.
Yeah. Because one episode he was known as the minivan guy, and he's like, why does everybody call me that? Like at school, like, minivan kid. That's what they call him. He's like, I'm not a kid. I'm 16. And he's like in the lunch line, he's like, minivan kid. Like the lunch lady calls him that. He's like, how do you know that? Like everybody calls him that, and he's like, and so he has to overcome that, like just feeling insecure and things like that. And it deals with, like, there's a girl that he likes, and then he's always in terrible situations when, like, she sees him.
Yeah.
He, like, trips and falls into this crib and, like, pops up, and he's got, like, a baby bonnet and a pacifier, and she walks by, like, what are you doing? He's like, he's always trying to, like, get out of these things with her, and it's pretty funny. But then there's the subtle worldview. And so, like, there was, like, a school dance, and there were, like, 2 girls dancing together in the background. Now, I don't know if they'll bring that up anymore. My kids didn't notice it, but it's just stuff that I look for because I'm like, what? Because there's always almost like subtle worldviews, and the same with the you're still not invited to my bar mitzvah. There was one line where, like, they asked this girl, like, who her crush was, and she said this boy. He's like, oh, you like boys? And they're like, most of us do, or something like that. But then like in the rabbi school, I think, I don't know if it's a Jewish school or their own school, but it was like there was a LGBTQ flag in there, and it, like, they didn't talk about it. It was just hanging there in the side. And so there's a lot of things in the backgrounds of stuff that's just kind of like, well, it just kind of like we're normalizing it. Like, there's 2 girls dancing together. Didn't say anything about it. Didn't draw attention to it. Wasn't like I don't think my kids.
But that was a creative choice.
Oh yeah, and that's why I say everything pushes a worldview. Yeah, because when you're making something, every scene, every visual thing is there for a reason, and that, I think we talked about that with the Amazing Spider-Man. Or
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, through the Spider-Verse, across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, because there's like I even looked for it and couldn't see it. I don't know how people found it, but there's things in scenes that like they're there. Like it's a creative choice to make those things happen. So, but as far as like pushing the LGBTQ agenda, like hasn't been anything like that so far. It was just that one little thing in the background that's, I don't know, wasn't that noticeable, but I noticed it because I'm looking for those things, especially in Disney shows, because Disney, man. But I would say this is safe to recommend to, like, it's probably a younger.
Well, yeah,
audience.
what age is it for?
I like it, but
I really enjoyed Phineas and Ferb, so I think Phineas and Ferb's all ages.
yeah.
I watched Phineas and Ferb before I had kids.
Yeah.
I still watch it.
Yeah, we do too. Now that I have kids, like, I have a reason. But yeah, Phineas and Ferb. Yeah, I would say probably middle school and down. Like, I don't know that a high schooler would sit down like, this is quality entertainment.
Right.
Hansel and Gretel.
Hamster.
Hamster.
Hamster and Gretel. Which, there's also a like her friend, Gretel's friend. She's like, I have a friend named Gretel, and then and she's like just obsessed with Gretel the superhero, and she's like, man, I wish you could meet my other friend Gretel. She's like, she likes this thing too, and like it just says all this.
That's very funny.
Yeah, but she never figures it out, and so that adds a comedic element to it. So she's like, yeah, I mean, there's so many obvious signs that point to it, and she's just like, my friend Gretel has a hamster too. Like, just all these things.
What a coincidence.
Just like, oh. So, all right. Any final thoughts?
No, we're good.
I'm just glad we finally talked about Hamster and
Is there
Gretel.
anything you're looking forward to play or to
Phineas and Ferb, new season coming out.
Oh yeah, when's that coming out?
I don't know.
Oh man, that's exciting.
Soonish, hopefully.
Finishing The Little Mermaid.
Finishing The Little Mermaid. Wait, there was a movie coming out that I was excited about. The new Chicken Run 2. I heard that there's a sequel to Chicken Run coming out.
Chicken Run.
Is that weird claymation movie?
Yes, it is.
Don't watch it.
Those people are great.
It's weird.
It's like
they make
very
Shaun the Sheep
British,
and Wallace and
British
Gromit.
humor.
Yeah, if you like British humor,
It's weird stuff.
There was another movie, and I can't think of what it is, but Fast X is coming out on Peacock.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
I'm gonna watch that. So Fast 10 your seatbelts. All right, hey everybody, thanks for watching, listening. Leave us comments, what we should watch, all that stuff. Subscribe. Our channel. We're over 100 now.
Nice.
It's going up.
All right.
So thanks for watching and listening. And I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we'll see you next time.